I know a lot of people that are from Seattle that have never been hiking or actually don't really go hiking. And it's crazy to me.
I'm one of them.
Especially black people.
Yeah.
When we look at the number of people that have visited national parks like Mount Rainier, Cascades, things like that, only 4% of them were minority, and about 1.2% of them were actually black. So when I'm having these conversations with a lot of different people out here, a lot of the homies that look like me, they're blown away that, first of all, I'm doing this business, but then I'm blown away equally that they don't go to their backyard.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Rabino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning to the UpNUp Podcast on the UpNUp Network. I'm your host, Rabino.
And I'm DJ man.
What's up, boss?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm excited, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I like the energy in here right now.
Yeah, bro. The ambiance is really set, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling grateful. Gratitude is my attitude.
Hey,
Always, man.
I like that.
You know, they say your attitude determines your latitude.
Oh,
well, I'm high as a... No, you know what I'm saying?
Take us to church. Hold on.
Oh, man.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Kanye said that.
Yeah.
Let's not get carried away, man. But anyway, for those first-time listeners tuning in, as I stated, this is the UpNUp Podcast. This is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture, right? We do that by providing amazing stories of individuals, groups, movements, right? Yep. People who are really carving lanes, man, becoming pioneers in their own right. And making a way for not only themselves but their community and those coming from behind, right? We got to shout out the family members, right?
Always.
That's mandatory. So we want to shout out all the family members, the supporters, the listeners, the viewers, the people who probably ain't told us they engage with us, but they be peeping and watching, but they show love too. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all too. Everybody's family to us, right? We appreciate y'all. And by the time you listen to this episode, we would actually have surpassed the 4-year mark. So yeah, man. So if you've been rocking with us this long, man, we about to graduate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So salute to y'all.
Sir.
We appreciate y'all. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the family, right? Now, man, getting that out the way. What we do here, obviously, as I stated, we try to provide really inspiring and motivating stories, right, and getting to people's journeys, right. And I'm super excited because today's guest, I would say, is someone who's actually took it upon himself to create a platform, but not only has he created a platform, he uses his platform to lead amongst the people, right, in an upward direction, I would say, right. He's definitely a true culture cultivator who's keeping everything he's doing on the up and up. A little bit of insight. He is the founder of exciting young and growing outdoors and adventuring service experience known as Miles Hike Club. Just to give some insight on the platform, their mission since the start has been to enlighten, inspire, and foster memorable bonds as they unlock the adventurer and those exploring the great outdoors. And since 2019, Miles Hike Club has aimed to provide top-notch experiences for all of us in the great outdoors. And what's dope is they meet you where you're at. Right? Well, obviously, they got to meet us all at the bottom to get to the top, right? But what I mean by that is they meet you where you're at. So whether it's your first time hiking or whether it's your 200th hike and you're a super expert, they're there for you, right, to guide you through. And their mission is to take us higher and go higher, right, as they say. I'm super excited. We're super excited. We're honored to have him here today. Our guest is none other than the trailblazer himself, James Booby Miles. Can we get a round of applause?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Give it up. How you doing, boss?
Man, first of all, I am so grateful to be here.
Yes, sir.
I love the energy. I love what you all are doing. You all are really setting the stage for everybody else. So
thank you, bro.
I feel great, man. I'm honored that you guys invited me to come on here. I'm excited to chop it up.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure to have you, bro.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Long overdue, right?
Long overdue.
They always we say that, right? Yeah, man. About time y'all had me up here. Nah, man. It's a pleasure to have you here, man. We're super excited. So if you're familiar with the show, obviously we start every episode with the quote of the day, something to get the vibe right, get the conversation started.
Yes, sir.
Brother man is the man of the quotes.
All right,
what you got for us?
So the quote of the day is, "It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe."
I see what you did there.
Yeah. See what I did?
I see, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Well played.
Come on, man.
But what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's like you're never really too tired, or like you're not worn out for the big, like you're the big picture pretty much. It's like you got to pay attention to the details. You know what I mean? So that's how I took it, you know. And once you pay attention to the details, you'll climb that mountain easy.
Who's that quote by?
Muhammad Ali.
Come on, man. Come on. Yeah. Can you run that back one more time? I want that to register with me.
Yes, sir.
Personally.
So the quote is, "It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe."
Hell yeah, bro. That's deep. That's deep, man. I love it. Well, I see what you did there, man. You lined it up perfectly. But so Booby, as you like to be referred to, right? Now with Miles High Club, right? And most people we have up here, they have their own visions, they have their own outlook in terms of why they do what they do. So from your outlook, what would you say can best describe where the mission from Miles High Club kind of stems from?
So, there's a lot of different places, right? So for starters, I know a lot of people that are from Seattle that have never been hiking or actually don't really go hiking. And it's crazy to me,
I'm one of them.
especially black people.
Yeah.
When we look at the number of people that have visited national parks like Mount Rainier, Cascades, things like that, only 4% of them were minority, and about 1.2% of them were actually black. So when I'm having these conversations with a lot of different people out here, a lot of the homies that look like me, they're blown away that, first of all, I'm doing this business, but then I'm blown away equally that they don't go to their backyard. And so really what we want to do is just make it accessible. Right? Like I want to make hiking relatable. I want to make hiking accessible for all people, no matter their skill set, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their age, no matter their abilities, right? There's a lot of stigma and fear around hiking. And I just want to let them know, listen, I'm just another brother like you out here trying to get it. Like we can make it work because it's actually very easy. There's nothing difficult about hiking because there's a hike for everybody. And so that's why I said, whether it's your first one or your 1,000th, we have a hike for you. We're in the Pacific Northwest. There's hikes everywhere. And that's the beautiful thing about it. So it's really breaking down those barriers and making it really accessible for a lot of people.
Man, that's amazing, bro, because I think a lot of success in a lot of other industries comes from making things very user friendly, as they like to say, or you know what I mean, making it accessible and giving people a entry point. You know, sometimes you don't know what can come of something, but it's hard to start for a lot of people. And I think, like you said, man, you want to make it easy for people to just start, right? No, that's real, bro.
Definitely, man.
That's dope. Thank you for sharing.
Let's take it back, man. Let's talk about your upbringing. Where you from? You know, what was it like growing up? So.
So first of all, shout out to my mother, shout out to my sister, shout out to my grandmother. I literally would not be who I am today had it not been for those three. I am a very confident person, and it comes from them. And it really is because they did an amazing job at building me up when I got too low and knocking me down when I got too big. Right? They did a great job at like trying to keep that balance, because I think that's important. So I'm from Chicago.
Shout out
to the Shy. Shout out to the crib. And then from there, I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. Loved going to Howard and living in D.C. That was a remarkable decision. And actually, I went there because of my mother. My mother was like, you have to leave, and you can't be a drive away. You have to be a flight away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like you have to go. And so I went there. My sister went to Hampton. It's a little, family rivalry all the time, but it's love. It's always love. Yup, you understand. You understand. And then from there, I ended up living in LA for a year, which was phenomenal. And then it's crazy to say I've been out here for almost 6 years.
Time flies, man.
Time
flies when you're
Wow.
having fun and you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah. So shout out again back to my mother. Shout out to her, because she had my sister and I heavily involved in everything. So I played basketball. Basketball's my first love.
Okay.
Like
Yes, sir.
Like I still play 3 times a week. So if anybody in this room want to get it,
Come on,
man.
Look,
hey, I told you. Before I got some runs for you.
No.
We talked about that. Yeah.
I'm always with it. I keep the shoes in the car
Let's
just
go.
in case, right? Like
Let's
real
go.
hoopers.
It never
do.
ends.
It never ends, right?
I love it.
So did basketball. I did track and field. I did football until drumline took over. I'm also a drummer. Been drumming since I was about 4 years old.
Oh, yeah.
I actually played the drums at Howard University. I was on the drum line there, so that was absolutely amazing.
Is it? I'm sorry to cut you off, but is it real like that?
Like the
battles
movie?
and drum line. Yeah. I mean, us.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, my only experience is seeing Nick Cannon go crazy on the drums.
Yeah. So I will say that I wish my experience was like that one because ours was way more intense.
Wow.
They had it easy in the movie.
Yeah.
We was doing things that I was just like, are you sure? Is this necessary? But all of a sudden you go through all of that conditioning, you go through all of that at the time felt like hell.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes game day and you realize that you're the only entity that is playing from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the band get breaks.
Yeah.
But the drum line never stops.
Mm.
And so you got to be able to keep going. You got to build up that endurance. So it makes sense
it does,
while we out there, you know what I'm saying, at all hours of the morning, all hours of the night,
real.
getting it, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. It was amazing. The drumline battles are absolutely real.
Yeah.
I had several different drumline battles. The drumline itself actually used to tour the country doing competitions, not the band, the drumline. So that's why when people be like, oh, you was in a marching band? Hold up, Sugarfoot. I was on the drum line.
The drum line. It's different.
I was on the drum line. I wasn't in the marching band. Shout out to them.
So the drum line's like they're the David Ruffin of the whole band. You know what I'm saying?
You get it.
For those of you who don't understand what he's trying to say, y'all know about the Temptations. They're the David Ruffin of the band. It makes sense.
Right. So that
That's
was
dope.
also another element. My mom had me in plays. I did a play with Judge Mathis growing up. Like
What?
I was in concert band, jazz band. I mean, like literally, I did. I was never home.
No, that I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is dope that you're explaining this because I think what it shows is you have no problem trying your hand at stuff, right?
Exactly.
No.
And early on in life, that's when it's super important. You know what I mean? To just try your hand at stuff, even if it doesn't stick. You said I did it, I attempted it. You know what I mean?
You know,
That's important.
That's a great point you bring up. And again, my mother, she told me, you will try everything. And if you don't like it, you will at least finish that. And then we don't got to go back. So, for example, baseball.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. Let's keep it a bill. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
That wasn't my calling.
Yeah.
And summertime was really the exploration time, right? So, like, I would do all these different camps and really figure out what I liked.
Yeah.
So she put me in a baseball camp, hated it.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, but you're not going to quit this camp. You got to finish out this 6 week or whatever. And then after that,
It's good after that.
we're good.
Cool. Yeah.
But you're not going to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Man,
you're going to ride this out.
Yeah.
And so, she just exposed me to everything, which is also why I feel good in any room I'm in. Because I have so much experience with different backgrounds that I can relate to the quote-unquote nerd that nobody talks to. I can relate to like the brainiac that's, you know what I'm saying? I can relate to the athletes. I can relate to the theater kids. I can relate to the hikers. Like, because I've done stuff.
Very, very adaptable and versatile. And that's actually a common thing. We always talk about this. It's crazy because a lot of guests that we have on the show, when we do ask about the upbringing, it's like, it's crazy how much of those things play a role in today, right? In your adult life. Those things that you just didn't really know were significant end up being some of the most significant, traits and characteristics to help you succeed in life. So
absolutely.
That's dope.
And then I think about the friends I have, right? Like some of my best friends came from them horrible days playing ball, doing, I was going to say suicides. What we call it today? Lines. Right, like doing line drills, like right, like those are some of my best friends. Like we was in the trenches together.
Those are really the trenches.
Oh yeah,
those are truly the trenches. Or like some of my best friends came from the drum line. Like that's where the real friendships were formed for me because you're together for hours on end.
Yeah,
No,
that sounds like you had a really eventful upbringing, man, and active one.
Very active.
So were there like any specific lessons that you took from all that transcended and kind of just stuck with you, like just till now, to this day?
Or even coming out of Chicago, like kind of growing past those teen years and saying, okay, it's time to grow up.
So there's a couple ones. So let's answer this question first. Be open-minded, right?
Yep.
There's no way you could have told me that, when you think about band, holistically, a lot of people think like band nerd, band geek, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I was ever that. I have quirky ways and tendencies, but like because of my mother and being like, no, you're going to do these different things, it forced me to be extremely open-minded, not only to the experience, but to people.
Yeah.
And so that is one thing that has truly transcended all my years, is just really being open-minded to experiences, to different people, to different thoughts. I may not have to agree, but I'm absolutely open-minded to different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And then leaving Chicago and going away to school where I couldn't just come home whenever I wanted to was the best decision, one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
It forced me to grow. I grew and matured so much in that first semester that it was unreal.
Yeah.
And so from there, that really taught me about different cultures and different philosophies, and that like what I was raised to believe is great, but that's not the only correct way to do things.
Yeah, that's not all there is.
That's not all there is. And so I was experiencing all these different people from all these different places. And then let's also back up and really identify the fact that I also then experienced all these different people from the diaspora. That was also a whole other thing, because you have what media was training you to believe is that black people are a monolith.
Yeah.
And then I went to Howard University, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We got Jack and Jill kids. We got people that probably just sold a little drugs before they came here.
Yeah.
We got people that are, trust fund babies.
Yeah.
We got people that are from all the different islands,
the
right?
Spectrum is very,
the spectrum was
very
so
long.
broad. We got people that have never listened to hip hop in their life.
Yeah.
And only listen to like EDM and rock, right? Like, I mean, it was just, it was so different and mind blowing to me. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That actually then enticed me to really find out who I am.
Yeah.
And not try and fit into a mold that society or other people said that I was.
Yeah.
So those were leaving Chicago and like being so involved. Like those are some of the key things that I still take with me today.
Yeah.
It's really just like a confidence, a higher level of confidence in who I am.
No, I love that, bro. And you always hear that about like specifically Howard University. I read a book, Between the World and Me.
Oh,
yeah. That's
phenomenal.
a dope book. Yeah. Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Howard alum.
Yeah, and that book is crazy because he's essentially just explaining his whole experience on campus, like being there, and it's crazy when he talks about it in such description, just how impactful it is, But for most of us in this room, obviously, who went through that higher learning phase and going through college and going through that undergrad, I would say at least, going through that and then knowing, okay, eventually this is going to end. Like, what did you do to kind of prepare yourself before you left school, right? And saying, okay, it's time to jump into quote unquote real world. Because, a lot of people who listen to this show or watch it, some of them may currently be in school and they're kind of at that point where they're like, all right, I know this is what I'm studying. I know this is what I want to do, but it ain't always going to be the way you think it's going to be when you get out. But what do you got to say about that?
Expose yourself to as many things as you can. There's nothing like the safety net of college. You could try everything and fail, and it is okay. It's completely okay. The only obstacle that you have, especially in college, is yourself, right? And so that's the best time to try everything. And so that's exactly what I did. I was involved in all these different clubs. I interned for a congresswoman when I was in DC. I got into radio simply because people was like, yo, you have a great voice, you should do this.
You got that quiet storm.
Right. So I was like, well, let me try it, right? And so I was on Sirius Channel 141 for some years. I did voiceover work on the side as well, and then found out that's not for me. I actually really liked it. I was doing it for other people, but I tried it.
You tried it,
and I was like, yeah, this isn't it, right? I always had an internship lined up on the summer when I'd go back home. I was a Inroads alum. So Inroads, and for those that don't know, Inroads is a nonprofit organization that specializes in getting minority students paid internships with Fortune 500 companies.
Okay.
So you have to get into them. And once you get into them, then they set you up. And so like I applied to get into them. I couldn't get in the first time. I got in the second time, and that opened up so many doors. But regardless, first of all, perseverance. I could have like walked away after the first time they said no, but I was like, you know what? I belong. And also, I went to school to be a lawyer. So my degree is actually legal communications.
Okay.
Junior year, I decided that ain't for me.
Yeah.
I'm not about to be no lawyer.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't make sense why you was writing 100-page briefs when you could have summed this up in 3 pages max. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. So I had
There's
no
so many ways to
interest.
communicate.
Oh, there's so many ways. There's so many ways, right? Like, matter of fact, call me.
Yeah.
Send a voice note.
Yeah.
You did not have to type all of this. So I decided junior year that I wasn't going to be a lawyer, but by that point, I wasn't about to be a 5-year student.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got to finish this out.
Yeah.
So when I applied to Inroads, they actually said no because we don't have any law firms. And so I was like, it is what it is. Well, I went to their ambassador program on campus, and I don't remember this woman at all, but apparently I met her. She called me, and she was like, yo, I really liked your energy. I really loved your questions. I think you'd be great for HR. And I was like, I don't know anything about HR. And she said, great. What I want you to do is research it and write a paper on why you think you'd be good for it and send it to me by tonight. So I'm in the library already studying, and I was like, I don't even know nothing about H. What are you saying to me?
It's like, here, go write a script about a movie.
Right, literally. And so that night, I was already in the library. I started researching HR, and I was like, oh, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Let me get it.
Yeah.
Sent it to her. She read it. She said, congratulations, you're in. And that's how I became an Inroads participant, right? And literally that, within the next couple of weeks, she had set up 3 interviews for me. And that's how I started getting these internships and just.
No, it sounds like it's, and I think it's kind of cliche sometimes, but it is important, man. It's not so much what you know, but it's who you know, right? But I always like to add on to that. It's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's also how well they know you, right? Because people know a lot of people, but they don't know who you are and what you're trying to bring to the table and your perseverance. She tested you. She put that out there, right?
Yeah.
She probably already knew she was going to give it to you, but she just wanted to see how bad you wanted it.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And honestly, to this day, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Her birthday just passed. Like, we was just chopping it up. That's we became actually good friends.
Yeah.
Like, she just turned 39, so she's significantly older. But like, we became great friends because she was my coach throughout that whole time. So we'd be talking on a monthly basis. And next thing you know, she was like, yeah, I ain't got nothing to coach you, so how's your day? Yeah. And we'd just be chopping it up. I'd be telling her, spring break was wild. Like, we became good friends.
That's
She came out here for her 35th.
Yeah.
And we hung out and tore Seattle up. Like it's
damn, that's dope.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That was a great relationship.
That's dope. And again, like I said, what people can pull from that is like, yo, give yourself some grace first and foremost. Like, the path is never linear, right? Especially
100%.
navigating college in itself.
Not.
But coming out of college is not linear as well. So like you said, give yourself some grace, but go meet some people.
Go meet
some people, man.
Man, that's really my whole life is like me meeting people and being like just finding out what they're doing and then just building off of that. Man, I know so many amazing people, and Miles High Club wouldn't be here if it wasn't for other people and other people telling me that I can make money off of this. Like Mosaic, which was a men's group that I had, wouldn't be here had it not been for somebody else asking me to brunch. Like, I mean, when I wouldn't be in HR had it not been for somebody. Like, everything I do is not only because of other people, but it's also because of divine appointment and alignment. I mean, there's no questions about any of that, right? Like, the way, anytime I look at my life, I can clearly see God's hand on it, and I can clearly see Him aligning different people to help me get to that next step. It's unreal.
No, for sure. Now, well, before we get into Miles High Club, because I want to get into that in terms of like kind of what started the whole journey of that, in terms of what kind of said let's go for it. But prior to that, you moved to Seattle, right? And you had to get your footing, right? And then me and Erm were talking before the show about the Mosaic brunch, which you just alluded to. Can you talk a little bit about how that may have helped you kind of be more comfortable and established in this city, and what that did for you? And for
which
people
part, Mosaic?
Yeah, Mosaic, yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
So let's back up and actually explain what Mosaic was. Mosaic was a safe space for men to come together to be their most authentic selves around others who are going to hold them accountable towards achievement, right? That was our mission. It started because there was a gentleman that came up to my best friend, OG Blast, Bobby Ackenborough.
Yes, sir. UpNUp Podcast alum.
Yeah. UpNUp. Yep. he came up to us one day and said, "Hey, I see you guys often. I feel like I can learn something from you. Can I please go out to brunch with you guys?" And we was like, you know me and Bobby, like, man, it's whatever. Let's run it. Like, I'm always open to break bread with anybody.
Yeah.
And so the three of us that were very busy, and so we were having trouble solidifying like when we were going to meet, right? And then, but we would always see each other in church.
Yeah.
And so then finally we was like, all right, well, look, what are we going to talk about? Like, what do you want to know from us, right?
Yeah.
And then we start talking, and we was like, all right, well, I mean, I feel like other people might like this too. And so then I really started looking at my female friends. I have a lot of female friends, and I was realizing one of the main differences between them and men is that females can just get together and do whatever they're going to do, right? Like, it doesn't there doesn't need to be an event.
Yeah.
And they also are way safer in their environments to be more expressive. And also their catalog and their adjective to express these emotions is way deeper than men's, right? Yeah. And so they already had safe spaces for them. Black men didn't have safe spaces. And so that's what we actually wanted to create out here. I realized that I knew a lot of awesome black men. Bobby knew a lot of awesome black men that I didn't know. This other gentleman knew a lot of awesome black men. Mo, who was also on the board, he knew a lot of people. And we just started bringing them together. And on a monthly basis, we would get these black men together and we would discuss real topics. And we wanted it to be a safe space for black men to come together and really just talk and just open up and share their thoughts, and then also break bread with each other and help uplift each other. Right. And so we did it for about 2.5 years. And then February 2020 hit. And so we were like, well, I mean, we have to keep doing this. So we then transitioned to Zoom.
Okay.
And that made it, that changed the entire complexity and texture of what we were doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the main reasons is it no longer felt like a safe space. No fault to anybody that was participating, but now all of a sudden, people were really looking forward to Mosaic because it was their excuse to get out of the house and away from life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They are now having these calls and these deep conversations in home, like at their home, right? So some of them are like, they got their kids still running around. Some of them couldn't quite focus because they still have life responsibilities.
There's nothing like the personal, physical, human connection. Nothing like that.
Nothing
can mimic that. Nothing can duplicate that.
You get it.
I don't care what it is.
And then also it was just another Zoom meeting, right? Like, you got people being in Zoom meetings for 40 hours a week. And then I'm saying, hey, let me get just Sunday for a couple hours too. I was feeling bad about that. So we actually ended up pausing it and stopping it throughout that because like restaurants weren't open, all that kind of good stuff. But I get asked, oh man, maybe every week, every other week, when are we bringing it back? So that's something that I've actively been thinking about, bringing it back. And maybe in a different capacity because I know that my calling is people. I know that my purpose on this earth is people and connecting people. I don't know in what capacity, but I know that is one of my gifts. And so I just lean into it.
No, definitely, man. And thank you for sharing and explaining that because I think, obviously in due time, I'm pretty sure we'll get it back, right?
Absolutely.
But it's good for people to hear that you guys have created that. Because it's needed no matter what, you know what I'm saying? It's needed everywhere, honestly. So if someone can hear that and say, yo, let me go just try that with my homies, just 5 of us. It don't got to be super structured, right? But it's just the concept of getting together, you know what I'm saying, being vulnerable, being expressive, and just, again, exchanging dialogue to learn from each other and help each other grow is important, man.
One of my life quotes is, who's not being blessed because I'm not operating in my authentic self? And so what I mean by that is the more vulnerable I got in those Mosaic meetings, the more vulnerable everybody else got, and the more powerful it got, and the more healing happened and transpired, right? But I realized I had to lead into that, right? Because people aren't just going to open up, especially when there's 30 people in a room and they only know 2, right? And so I was realizing that, like, by me being my authentic self, it was giving permission to somebody else to be their authentic self. And now all of a sudden, because that person was their authentic self, it was a domino effect. And now all of a sudden, people are taking things from it. And now people are healing generational stuff that they didn't even know they had. People are thinking about different topics that they'd never thought about. People are discussing things that they only kept within themselves. And they're doing it in a safe space around other people that look like them.
It's a domino effect. And it's crazy what happens when they leave, you know, who that pours into. So
absolutely.
That's dope, man.
It was, I mean, I only pulled up once, but I could co-sign that exactly because, I mean, I was kind of a little timid when I walked in, but, man, towards the end, I was like, damn, you know, this is dope. Like, I could feel myself getting comfortable, you know what I mean?
Hell
So, yeah.
Hell yeah,
it was dope.
Nah, man, for
Absolutely.
sure. Now, when it comes to Miles Hike Club, right? So you guys started in 2019, right? Now, when it comes to kind of saying, okay, I want to start this, I want to create this, you obviously had a passion for hiking, right? Or you created one, or you fell into it?
I had a passion because I lived out here.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you go from saying, okay, I enjoy doing this, to I want to merge a business model to it, and not only just for business purposes, but to create the opportunity for others to do it? Like, what was that process like, and how did that kind of start to build? Was it all at once, or was it?
It's very simple. It's very simple. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. People. I knew other people. Other people spoke into me. Other people gave me the ideas. Other people uplifted it. Other people helped me out. And then I just executed.
Got you.
Right. So if we were to back up, I've always been into fitness and athletics. Always, right? As I said, look, before I came here, I was working out and playing ball. Right? Like, always into it. And in Seattle, as we know, hiking is life. Right? Like, instead of people wearing Nikes on the street, they be wearing their hiking boots, right? Like, it is really in the culture. And so I had a friend of mine take me on my first hike when I was out here in like 2016 or so. And then I fell in love with it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, wait, this is still a great workout. And then it's super rewarding. Oh, this is lit. I ain't never seen nothing like this before. The Midwest is all flat. DC don't got no mountains. LA only has hills. So like, this is lit. And so I tried getting my friends to go all the time, and they simply did not want to. Right. And so the next thing you know, I found myself putting together like hodgepodge groups of people. Right. So like a friend from this group, a friend from this group, a friend from this group, and next thing you know, I'd be introducing them because we all wanted to go hiking. And now like I was just kept doing that. And a really successful entrepreneur, one of my friends, based out of Chicago, he has an Instagram page called Black People Eats.
Okay.
And so shout out to him. Shout out to Jeremy Joyce out of Chicago. He reached out to me and he was like, yeah, Booby, like, I know you love hiking, but did you know you can get paid to do this? And I'm like, Jeremy, what?
But I love it.
It didn't make sense to me. And he was like, nah, you can get paid to do this. And I'm like, bro, who really about to pay a dude like me to take him hiking? Like, it didn't make sense. And he's like, yo, just go on Airbnb experiences and create a page. I'd also never heard of Airbnb experiences.
I didn't even know they.
Oh yeah, they got that.
Okay.
Oh, it's big time. Oh, that's a thing.
Okay.
I'd never heard of it. So this was in October of 2018 when he reached out to me. And so then I was like, all right, fine. So I created a page literally right after. Airbnb got back to me in November and they said, hey, we actually hate everything about your page. Like, they literally, on every category, they wanted me to change it. Like, every category, right? And so I was like, oh, that's cool. This wasn't a real thing anyway. I didn't think I could get paid off this anyway. So, like, I'm not tripping. December, they got back to me and they said, congratulations, you're approved. And I changed nothing on my page from their edits that they had in November.
Oh, man.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. So next thing you know, my page is live and I'm getting blown up. People are hitting me up, right? Crazy. And so I'm like, oh, this might be a real thing. So I went in there and I actually then took heed, right? And I started changing things on my page and like things like that. And so January 19, 2019, I did my first hike.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, did some more. And in that first year in 2019, ended up taking 250 people hiking.
Wow.
50 days, only on Saturdays. And it was just me. Only on Saturdays, because I still had a full-time job. I was still doing Mosaic at that. There was a lot that I was juggling at that time. And so I could only do Saturdays. So I only took 2 Saturdays off that whole year. And it was 250 people, just me. And so then I was like, oh, this is a real thing. oh, this is a real thing.
After 250 hikes, yeah, this is
I was like, oh my gosh, this is real.
It's happening.
This is real.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started. It literally was only because Jeremy Joyce reached out to me and said, hey, you can get paid to do this. That was literally the only reason.
I want to stop there just for a second because I think that's a really powerful message for a lot of people who find themselves doing something, A, they're good at, B, they truly enjoy doing, like they would do it for free, that sometimes they get clouded and not understanding like, yo, know your value, know your worth, right? And know how to leverage it, right? And know where to leverage it, right? And I feel like that was kind of the process of you developing that, right? Because there's also, you got to know you got to be good at it too, right? So how did you develop it? I mean, you said you're already confident in every room you go into, but when you're leading people,
but you know what? I'm confident, but I'm also humble. So this is how I end every single hike, and I've always done this since the beginning.
Okay.
I asked them, what made you book? Because I'm not the only page out here. So what made you book with us? What did you think of the entire experience, from looking at the page, from the communication back and forth leading up to the hike, to the meeting point, all the way until being back in the car after the hike? What did you think? And then, how can we improve? Give us feedback on what we can do better. That question alone has changed my entire business. And I asked that at the end of every single hike. So you think we now have over 1,100 data points of people being like, yeah, this is what you could tweak, this is what you could tweak. Yep. So if you booked a hike with us last year, it's not going to be the same thing this year because there's things that have changed. There's things that have evolved. And they could be simple things, right? Like for example, we just added a video on our Airbnb experiences page.
Oh, wow.
We only had pictures. But somebody was like, yo, I think it'd be really cool if you had a video so I can see what you do. Say no more. Video's up now.
It's amazing.
Right? People being like, oh man, I didn't know what I should bring. Oh, say no more. Now, when you book, you get an intro email that not only says like where we're meeting and the time and stuff, but then it says, hey, we're providing water and snacks. If you want something heartier, like a sandwich, feel free to bring that yourself. Right? Like it's literally just because of all these data points.
The development. That's how you develop it.
100%.
But you gotta do it. And then you develop it as you do it.
You have to ask those questions. You have to be willing for whatever feedback is going to come. And we ask that all the time.
I love that, bro.
All the time. And sometimes people get a little nervous. Like, oh, no, it was perfect. Thank you. But now how can we make it even better?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get people be like, well, I might be a little nitpicky, but that's okay. Be nitpicky. Tell me what we can do to be better. And that single question has really helped change and move this business forward.
I love it, bro.
Man, that's dope, man. That's dope. I think it's important that it's actually kind of like live. You know what I mean? I think that's dope. Because, a lot of places like, oh, just leave a review. And then it's like, you don't feel like they really care like about your real opinion, But the fact that it's live like that, I'll be like, oh, man. Yeah, they really do. This is, just off you asking that question is just like, oh yeah, this is my go-to. You know what I mean?
And it's live and it's in the moment.
Exactly.
So they're not having to like go home, couple hours pass, couple days pass, and it's like no, like right now. While we're driving back to Seattle. What's up? Talk to me. Let's talk about this. And man, that has been a beautiful element.
Yeah, and I'm also curious too because that's part of the, I guess, a lesson that may have been learned is like, okay, how do I make it better? How do I improve it as I go, right? Because you can't stop, but you also got to make sure you stop to take in feedback, like you said. But what were some early lessons to get started, to kind of get to a place where you feel settled and kind of knowing, okay, this is moving, this has traction, and I can kind of like not rest, but I can kind of assess it differently than I did when I first started?
Great question. So I am really big on scaling. And automation, and outsourcing. So in 2019, it was all just me. In May of 2019 is when we actually started Mosaic Club, because it would be a travesty not to use my last name with the hiking company. That would have been just a missed opportunity, right?
Definitely.
You get it. So that's how I actually like incorporated Mosaic Club in May. And then I was catastrophically burned out by the end of 2019. And so I then realized that I need help. And so once I established that I can't do this all on my own, and if I'm only able to take 250 people, what could I do if I just brought on one more person, right? So you know the good old saying, like, one pilot can take 1,000, but two can take 10, right? Like that multiplication.
Yeah.
So I ended up bringing on my first person, and because of him, I then had to figure out what is it that makes Miles High Club so great. What is it that has people booking? What is it that has people even coming back?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
And so I wrote everything down. I created an MHC playbook so that it's like I was realizing that people at that time in 2019 were booking the hike because of me. And I didn't want that because that's not scalable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted them, all of the reviews. If you look at all the reviews in 2019, they all say Booby this, Booby that. If you look at the reviews in 2020 and beyond, they begin saying Miles High Club this, MHC that. And then later on, they'll like say whoever the guide was, right? But there's a theme because I wanted it to shift.
That brand. It's about
you
the brand.
get it. You get it. And now that way, it's scalable. Now we can duplicate it. So what I did was, end of 2019 and in 2020, and especially because we had a lot of time to do it.
Oh, for sure.
With everything shutting down.
Yeah.
So in that time, I really just built out the playbook.
Yep.
And I built out, like, what is it? What is the fabric of Miles High Club? And then when I hire somebody else on, what does their onboarding look like?
Yep.
Right? And so now how do we scale that?
Yeah.
And then in 2019, I was doing everything myself. I built the website myself.
Yeah.
I was running the social, like I was doing everything myself. And then I realized I'm not good at this.
Yep.
The first website sucked.
Yeah.
Like, it sucked. And shout out to my friends for, like, letting me know, but, like, also being gracious, right?
Yeah,
like, they was kind with it, but they was like, all right, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, it's cool, bro. Like it's cool. I'd start outsourcing everything. Like, I hired a social media manager. I hired 2 web developers. So the website you saw, they created that.
Yep.
It's far superior than what I created. Hired branding and marketing, hired a lawyer, hired an accountant. Like, I built out a team because I'm like, I need to figure out strategy and I need to figure out how we're going to grow and scale this.
Yeah.
I can't be into the day-to-day minutia stuff because that's not best where my efforts are, because I'm also not the best in those spots.
Yeah.
So let me just hire the people that I know.
That's great awareness too. That's really good awareness. And I think it's a good lesson for people who are building, you know, I mean, I guess these are universal principles that apply to any venture, but, and it could be case by case, obviously, but that's really good information for people out there who are trying to go into, you know, their own ventures or already have something going.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's that humbleness kicking in. Because when I was younger, I used to always be like, nah, it's cool. I got it. I got everything. It's cool. I don't need no whatever, you know. And that's kind of how I was kind of operating. But you just realize, man, it's like life gets easier when you ask for help, you know what I mean? Or like outsource that, you know.
And, you know, this also goes back to, again, the theme of people and people putting me on, and like people, like me being just connected to people that will take me higher. A lot of the people that I just named, those different titles, they actually found me, or they were my homies.
Yeah.
And so I'm also really big on putting homies on, and not for free. Like, I'll put bread in your pocket.
Yeah.
Like, because if I'm making money off this, then why wouldn't I pay you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, oh no, it's a homie hookup. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing a service.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. And especially if I'm making money off of said service, it's okay.
Yeah.
And so I found 2 of my hiking guides in the mountains. That, like, literally me hiking in the mountains, and I ran into them, and I was like, oh, I really like you.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, that happened.
Yeah.
My social media manager, the first one that I had, she reached out to me and was just like, yo, Booby. And she was a, like, influencer herself.
Yeah.
Super popping. But she reached out to me like, yo, I've been, you know, following your page. I really love your brand. I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And here's all the ways I think you can improve. So I'm sitting there on the phone with her writing 3 pages of notes. And then I stopped and I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why don't you do this and I pay you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
This is far too complex.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not the creative in that way.
Yeah.
I'm not the aesthetically pleasing creative. Like,
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm the creative in, like, creating ideas and momentum and energy.
Yeah.
That's where I'm good at.
Yeah.
I'm not good at arts and crafts.
Yeah.
Like, that's not me.
But it's like you got to orchestrate it, you know, and you got to understand, like, okay, what am I good at and what's needed, and you look at what's needed and you figure out how to just, you know, fill those roles. But it's a value exchange too, right? 100%. It's an opportunity, you know, and you're creating those opportunities, and if someone actually wants it, and you know they see themselves doing it, then it's a win-win, right?
It's a win-win.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a win-win.
Because the experience, you know, that's the thing. Like I always hear this quote from Issa Rae where she's like, network across, you know, not always networking up. And I think that's important, man, because you never know what people are capable of until you give them an opportunity, right?
Bingo. I look at my lawyer.
Yeah.
That's a bad brother. That's a bad man.
Yeah.
And he just graduated law school maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, right? And he's killing. And because I know so many other entrepreneurs in my own right, everybody's always looking for a lawyer.
Yeah.
So he the first person I put on.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
No, like he got me right.
Yeah.
Like I was writing my contracts at first.
Yeah.
And then I started doing hikes with like Amazon and other companies.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, Booby, no. Let me please rewrite these contracts for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, all right, bet. That was my bad. That was my bad.
No,
I could have got sued.
Yeah. But you're learning, man. And I think that's the biggest thing, right?
100%.
Everything is a learning lesson. Everything's a stepping stone. Even those like wins that are like big wins eventually become stepping stones, right? To the next 100%. One. Now, I do want to get into this because I think you touched on it early on about, and I was like, it's crazy before this interview, I was like researching the myth, bro, about, you know, black folks and nature. And there's like this gap, this disconnect. And part of it is true. And then part of it is also kind of created and designed for us to not be, I guess, or having access to that,
absolutely,
to the opportunity. But can you talk about like what you've seen from the work you've been doing in terms of like how it's been able to affect, you know, us, our culture, and for yourself, you know what I mean? And why you think it's important for people to get more in touch with nature?
So let me tell you a story first.
Let's go.
So a good friend of mine who was also a hiking enthusiast, she was one of the people that I would go hiking with. She recently just moved to LA. She would have, over Labor Day weekend, she would throw an annual hiking weekend trip. And so this is when we would go all over the place, like some hikes that are super far out that you can't just do in a day, right? And then we would make like, you know, 3 hikes, right? Like a hike every single day. And these be these beautiful hikes, some of the best I've ever done. I went with her one time and we went out to British Columbia. And one of my favorite hikes that I've ever done is called Widgeon Falls. So what you have to do is you go and you rent a kayak. And then you have to actually, or a canoe rather, and then you canoe through this river surrounded by mountains. And you do that for about 1.5 miles. And then you get to the trailhead and start your hike. It was gorgeous. And I'll show you guys videos and stuff after.
Yeah, I need to see that.
And then you do your hike, and then you go to this absolutely beautiful waterfall with like turquoise water and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was a vibe.
Yeah.
All right. The reason why I bring this up, though, is because you have, I don't know, maybe 10 black people. And we're all canoeing, and we get to the trailhead. We have to bring our canoes onto shore. And there was maybe 2 or 3 other people that were actually on shore at that point at the trailhead, all white. One of the people were so blown away that they saw black people there that she literally was like, are you guys in a magazine or something? Like, is this for a photo shoot?
Wow.
Like, the concept of us being out at this spot with her, she couldn't fathom. So she had to make up an excuse. Yeah. She had to give a rationale as to why we were there. Yeah. Not we were there. It's the same reason you're there.
Yeah. Like
that wasn't possible.
And
she's like, that can make sense.
Yeah.
How did you find out about the hike that I go to?
Yeah.
That part didn't cross her mind.
Yeah.
There had to be a reason that we were there, right? Or you have another hike that we did later on. We're all there. And this white woman came up, and again, it was like that shock factor that she saw us.
Yeah.
And she came up and immediately tried grabbing my friend's hair. Like we were at a petting zoo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, when I see these different types of things, we go back to the first question that I ask people at the end of the hike. What made you book? And a common answer I get is, oh, I saw it was black owned.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that. You don't see black-owned hiking companies. And so I really, again, just wanted to create this space. And it's so important to really break down all of these stigmas that we have, right? Or again, it goes back to accessibility I was talking about earlier. A lot of people also just don't have cars in Seattle, right? And so it's like, no, we'll provide transportation because I want to break down any barrier that you think you have, right? Or I'll have older people that want to go hiking, but they're like, oh, I can't keep up with whatever. It's okay. Gold Creek Pond is phenomenal, and that's ADA accessible. If you're in a wheelchair, you can do Gold Creek Pond, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different hikes, and it's really just like, all right, I want to get us out there, right? Or that's why I start partnering with different companies that have like affinity groups, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Let's actually sponsor an event to get us out there, right? So like I partner with Ben, Black Employee Network at Amazon, right? Like let's get all these people out, right? And really also making it fun, right? Like we can listen to hip hop and stuff and do the swag surf as we're driving there, safely, obviously, right? But we can do this as we're going and then get out there and have a great time, still in nature, surrounded by trees and white people. Like it's okay. I remember I was driving. I used to work at this other company, and I was talking with my colleague at the time, and she had just left REI to join the company I used to be at. And she was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, like I do this, and then I have my own hiking business." I cannot make this up. This woman pulled off the road, stopped her car, pulled onto the shoulder, and she looked at me. You do what? And I was like, "Oh, yeah, like I got a hiking company." And the reason
you gotta say it confidently.
Yeah.
I didn't stutter.
Yeah, I didn't. And the reason why I got brought up is because at that moment I was thinking about cars and I was thinking about transporting people, and I was like, how many people fit in this car? So I'm looking at her car, and then that's why she's like, what makes you ask? And that's how I got brought up. She said, we used to do studies at REI on why minorities don't hike.
Wow.
Where have you been? Like what we did studies on this.
Yeah.
And it was like,
now there's mad articles online referring to this. I call it the myth because it's real, bro. Like there's people out here really doing the work you're doing, and it needs to be highlighted, right? Because even myself personally, bro, like I could probably count on my hand how many times I've been hiking, bro. Yeah, and it ain't 5.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's important because it's so intriguing, and I know the effects it can have because I've seen it in friends of mine who go hiking and they tell me about it, and I'm like, damn, cool. I don't know when I'm gonna go though.
Exactly. It's absolutely phenomenal. And so by me doing this and by me like getting my name out there and by me connecting with other people, I'm then finding a whole bunch of other Black people that are hiking and not just leisurely hiking, but doing it on a scale. Right. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. There's this one company I just got connected with, and forgive me if I get the name of it wrong, but I think it's Refuge Outdoor.
Okay.
She's killing the game, and she's having like camping sites and like connecting with other businesses to really help youth get outdoors, and it is absolutely beautiful and phenomenal, right? And I've really just had the luxury of meeting a lot of other really dope people who are doing phenomenal things, and it's like, why don't more people know? And that's the part where it's like, okay, this is great, this is cool, but how do we get it bigger? How do we let more people know what we're doing? How do we get the proper exposure?
It's coming, bro. It's coming. And I think part of it is, again, doing the work, doing the due diligence and laying those bricks, man. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually it will grow and it will get to who it's supposed to get to. And you're making your contribution, right? We're all making our contributions, and you're making your contribution for sure, bro. I know it's definitely impacting a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like you left me no excuse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for real, because I was on the same thing as Robbie, where I'm like, man,
I'm running out of excuses, bro.
Yeah,
especially with Ish,
I'm
bro.
like, it sounds
good.
But then I'm like, man, I don't know. But like now, I'm like, man,
you have no reason.
It might be time. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because I'm telling you, there's so many hikes that if you just go down 90,
bro,
there's so many hikes just on 90 alone that are right there, right, and it's like. Give it one Saturday. You'll be back by 1 o'clock.
On everything,
like you'll still have the rest of your day. You'll be back by 1.
It's real, man. It's real, man. You're breaking down those barriers, man. You know what I'm saying? We belong in nature. We've been in nature. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. The healing properties that are in nature are unreal. There's this Japanese meditative technique called forest bathing, and the origins of it were people actually like really getting into the water and like really letting it cleanse you. But the idea behind it is that nature is all alive and it's all around us, right? And so they would go into nature and they would really meditate there and let the healing properties and the life that's around them and the amount of oxygen that's around them heal them, and they would meditate on that, right? And then you can take it a step further and you start talking about mindfulness training, right? And so one aspect of mindfulness training is around when you get really stressed out and there's something going on that's messing up your hormonal balance. What do you do to calm yourself back down? Well, what you can do then is you can go into nature. You can think about the healing properties that you had while you were in nature. You can think about the peace that you felt at that time. You can think about the happiness that you had. You can think about the beautiful views. And when you are stressed out or anxious or anything like that, you can then remind yourself of those moments to help calm yourself back down from a mindfulness perspective. And those are just two of the benefits, right? We're not even getting into like the health components, right? Like you are in great cardio shape if you're hiking all the time.
No,
right?
for sure, bro.
You know,
it's so beneficial, man. And I think again, bro, you're kind of providing that runway, right? Because it's about representation, right? That's what this show is about as well. We want people to see the faces and the images of those who are taking up space in certain industries where we're not being represented, bro. And you're representing for sure.
Trying.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying.
Taking us higher.
No doubt, man.
Yeah, man. Now I do want to also give you a chance to kind of speak to the future outlook, man. Like what excites you about the future, and what do you kind of look forward to for Miles High Club and yourself, obviously, and your team? But what do you see? Go ahead, Kanye. Give me the Kanye vision.
So last year we had a great milestone where we ended up taking 650 people hiking. Just last year, and so that was beautiful. This year, though, I'm really excited to try and take kids hiking. And again, this goes back to me talking to so many of my peers who are from Seattle who have either never been hiking or don't go hiking, and they're from here, right? And so it was like, okay, cool. How can we actually change this from an early age? And so I want to partner with a lot of different schools. I actually have a meeting next week with a member of the school board to talk through how we can get Miles High Club into these schools to start taking minority kids hiking.
Wow.
And so I'm super excited about that.
I'm excited about that too.
I think that can be absolutely great. I'm also really excited. I've been heavily looking for a Black woman hiking guide. And so we actually just made an offer and it was accepted. And so I'm super excited to get some more representation from that front as well. And I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited to really grow and potentially, this isn't in the near future, but at some point start franchising Miles High Club around. Seattle is not the only place where mountains are.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right. I've had conversations with people out in Boston. I've had conversations with people in Arizona. I've had conversations with people in Colorado. Like, oh, you should bring Miles High Club here.
Yes.
And so that idea is very intriguing to me. Obviously, there's a whole lot that we have to figure out before that happens. But that's also something else that's like in the future that I would love to start seeing Miles High Club in different areas where there's mountains.
Oh yeah, I see it, bro.
That would be absolutely beautiful.
I see it with you.
So those are like some of the main things that are on my forefront right now. Like really figuring that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Figuring out what that looks like, what we can do. Especially the kid thing like that. I'm just so excited for that.
That's something that definitely popped up during this conversation in my head. I was just like, man. The youth. The youth, man. We gotta get to them.
And I'm interested in youth, specifically Black youth.
Yes.
Specifically Black youth. I took Communion hiking, the restaurant. Shout out to Damon. And I took them hiking, and there was one lady there who was like the head chef. She was like, "Oh man, I remember when I was really young, there was this outdoor group that took us hiking, and I had so much fun. And man, I just wish I could hike more." Hearing that, I was like, man, imagine if I can take 200 kids a year and what that can do for them later, right? Like break down, again, all these stigmas, break down these barriers. My favorite thing when I'm on a hike is seeing families hike. Because that's so beautiful. Like seeing a mother, a father, and like a couple of kids. Like that's beautiful to see. And it's never minority kids. And so trying to change that at an early age that's something I'm super excited about.
That's powerful, bro. Definitely, man. The vision is clear, bro. I see it with you, bro.
Thank you.
And it's gonna happen.
Oh,
if I'll say it, it's gonna happen.
Definitely.
It already happened.
Man.
It already happened. We just ain't there
Amen.
yet. We just not there yet.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Come on, man. God, you hear me? Nah, I'm excited though, man. And again, I'm inspired by the work you do, bro. Definitely, man. It's
Thank you.
and I'm definitely gonna come on a hike, bro.
Yeah,
I heard it here.
Look,
on the record, bro.
On the record.
On
Count
the
me
record.
in, bro.
You too?
All right.
Count me in.
You coming?
All
Okay,
right.
boom. The whole
That's
squad.
three. That's
The whole
three. Is
squad.
that 4? Oh, it's 3 in a pause. 3 in a pause.
Oh man, bro. Thank you for sharing that vision, bro. I appreciate it. Now before we get our guests out of here, or actually, yeah,
Definitely want
I'm
to
about
give you a
come
chance
out.
to, social media, the website.
Yes.
How can they
people
tap in?
find you? How can people tap in?
Yes.
So-
So you can find us at Miles, Miles, Hike, HIKE, Club, CLUB on everything.
Nice.
That is mileshikeclub.com. That is Miles Hike Club on Instagram. That is Miles Hike Club on TikTok. And also a special shout out to my social media manager who is crushing it.
Yes.
Like the things he's producing, I'm just like, bro, I'm so happy I have you.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I'd be able to do it,
man.
right? And shout out to the social media manager before him who paved the way for him, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm telling you, I've just been so fortunate with so many amazing all-stars on this team.
Man, come on, man.
So that's how you can find us. If you have any questions or concerns, there is a contact us page on the website, but it's also contact@mileshikeclub.com if you have any questions or concerns.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Come on, man. No excuses, y'all. If y'all heard, if y'all hearing it here, there's no excuse. Gave you every way to get in touch.
Absolutely.
I should be taking my own advice. All right, man. So before we get our guests out of here, we always ask this question. So if you can, my brother, what's one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up and why?
Ooh. Surprisingly, it's actually patience. So, before we start going live, we were having a conversation about like writing down all these goals and like crushing these goals and doing all that kind of stuff, right? And I used to do that. I was notorious for having sticky notes all over my desk, all over the place with all these notes. And I was realizing that was actually causing levels of anxiety because I was always looking at that and realizing there's so much I have to do. And so now what I do is I just try and tackle one thing every day. And that compounded interest, that compounded momentum has actually paid way more dividends than me trying to knock out a whole bunch of things in a week, right?
Yeah.
Like just one thing every day, but being consistent in that.
Yep.
And so the reason why I say patience is because by me actually slowing down has actually caused me to go forward faster.
Yep.
Because now it's like, no. I've actually thought through these things clearly. I've actually made very clear decisions because my mind is not bogged down by all the decisions I have to make.
Yep.
I'm just focusing on one decision and actually doing it well and executing at a really high level, clearly and succinctly. And I know that when I'm done with that, I'm done. Not like, oh yeah, I did it and I knocked off a piece of it. Now I got to keep coming back.
Yeah.
I'm done. So it's actually patience. That's really my word for the year.
I love it.
And it's really helped me just in all areas of my life.
Yep. Come on, man.
I just got some game from that right now.
Come on.
I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's real.
I'm definitely gonna apply that too.
That's so real, bro. I love that. Patience is key, man. Patience is everything, bro.
And it's something that I haven't done for 30 years.
Yeah.
So let me also be very clear.
Yeah.
This is the antithesis of who I am.
Yeah,
right?
man.
And I realized that, look, I was doing stuff for 29 years and it got me really far and,
Yeah.
and I accomplished a lot. But it's also just like what you did to get you where you are is not going to be what you're going to do to get you to where you're going.
Exactly.
And so I just really had to realize that, like, okay, let's try something new and let's see how far can we take this rocket ship.
No, patience is everything. And I think what you said is super key. Like we have to, what I say is we try to remain in our true essence, but we have to create new versions of ourselves
100%.
every step of the way, right?
100%.
That's big, man. Well, man, Booby, bro, this has been a very elevating conversation. I have to try to find. I don't know, man. I'm trying to find the right words, man. He saw me searching for the word.
All the puns are on point.
Come on, bro.
I love it.
On, man. But man, this has definitely been a really great conversation, and I'm pretty sure and almost certain anybody who's been listening or watching can take something from this and go higher, right? I'm on point right now, man. I'm on point. Y'all can cut me a check or something. No, I'm joking. But nah, man. Again, bro, keep doing the work, bro.
Definitely, man.
we wish you the best of luck moving forward always, bro. You already know that. And you got support with us here at the UpNUp always. With that being said, I think it's safe to say, man, James, Booby, Miles, and the whole Miles High Club team are officially members of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause?
It's an honor.
Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
It's an honor. Thank you.
My brother. Thank you, boss.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
To continue supporting the podcast and the entire UpNUp movement, be sure to rate, review, like, and subscribe.
As well as follow us at _the UpNUp on all social media platforms to stay connected with everything the UpNUp has coming your way.
Thanks for listening, and until the next one,
keep it on the UpNUp.